see here. All right. Here we go. Folks, we are live. I see we've got a couple people watching, possibly. That's awesome. Let me turn on my video. This is the first time I've scheduled a stream. So, let me go ahead and, okay. Let me see what's going on here, but we're live. All right. So, oh no. That's because you never RSVP'd. I just sent it. All right, folks. So for those who are joining us, we are going to get started momentarily. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be letting folks into the Zoom. So if you have RSVP'd, awesome. If you haven't and you'd like to attend live next event, you can feel free to join the chapter on Codecademy. You will need to log in, and then you can RSVP. And then that way you can get access to the live Zoom room. So I just want to make that a little bit clear as well. But we're going to have an awesome time today. Whoops. All right, so let me get out of this thing here. I'm going to invite Michael Dowies, our other co-leader here. Hey, Michael.
Hello.
Man, I did it. I did a scheduled stream.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I know how to do it now. So we can actually run live streams. Schedule the live streams. We've got two folks watching already.
I don't know why I couldn't find the
Because you didn't RSVP.
Ah.
Yeah.
It feels like as members, you should be able to find that easily, and I believe Lauren's here as well.
Hello.
We also have Robert as well, or Robbie. Sorry. Let me make Michael a. Wait, hold on. All right, me. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Lauren.
I should sound better now that my original audio is on.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
All right, so we've got chat going. We've got.
I meant to do that last night when we streamed.
Mine's on by default now. However, I did that.
I need to figure out how to set that up.
And I can't ask you how I did it either. All right, so chat's going. I've got the YouTube going. And yeah, that was pretty awesome to schedule that ahead of time.
It's interesting that it says custom live stream on the top of Zoom.
It does, because I entered in it. Yeah, that's what it does, yeah. But either way, it works.
I wish they would improve like an API that would let you do a YouTube stream so it says live to YouTube, but also, will say, that it's on YouTube and let you schedule in the future.
Yeah, it's fine though. I mean, I just have to go through the YouTube Studio dashboard. But hello, folks who are just joining us.
Hi there, Robbie. How are you doing today?
Robbie.
Do you want me to monitor the chats as well, or do you all have it covered?
I mean, if you know how to, I mean, but yeah, I think. What I would have you do, Lauren, I made Michael and you co-host, so if you want to monitor the Zoom.
Okay, I can do that.
I think I made.
And welcome to the room, Michael's iPhone.
Yep. But yeah, Michael, if you want to make Lauren a co-host, that way she can monitor that, and then I can monitor the chat, and then you can kind of, fill in as needed.
Mm-hmm.
And help, with if we need more chat, depending on how crazy things get. But I think we're going to have an awesome event today. There you go.
Thank you.
Yep. And yep, if you're in the YouTube, say hi as well. We've got some folks on YouTube. So it's going to be a really awesome event. It's going to be awesome.
We've got a total of 5 people in the room. We had 10 RSVPs. So
yeah, well, one of them was myself. But
are we able to send out emails or event reminders?
I think Codecademy does that. Yeah.
But I am going to ping the Discord real quick.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And if people don't know, we have a great Discord called Programming for Everyone, where people can talk about everything programming.
And it's hopping.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. We were talking about breaking the Linux kernel this morning.
Yes, and somebody did actually.
Right.
So.
I've been on video more in these last couple of days than I have been in a long time on Zoom.
I know. Apparently Diddly Doo is in the YouTube chat saying she's looking forward to it. Yes. I'm also looking forward to the event today. Thanks for attending our live stream last night. That wasn't planned at all. And yeah, if you want to be in the Discord, you'll get notified first whenever we go live. Or whenever we do anything. So, yeah. But yeah, we've got both YouTube and Zoom, so it's kind of a.
And if you're not also subscribed to the Techopolis YouTube channel, we always love to have folks in the channel. So.
Yep. All right.
Discord's going off now.
Yep, that was just me.
Oh, okay.
But.
We'll give folks a little bit of time to join.
Yeah. But let's see here.
Give folks about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. If we get started around 2:05, 2:10, my time.
Yep. And I'll be monitoring Zoom to see if anybody joins.
Yep, you and Lauren can handle that part. But yeah, folks in the Zoom room, feel free to unmute yourselves. And yeah, we'll just kind of get started shortly. But yeah, feel free to say hi before we officially kick off.
And I apologize for background noise. My family decided to do yard work.
You're fine. It's actually canceling it out because I think you have noise cancellation on. So it's actually canceling a lot of that out.
That works.
And I'm sure folks might come in late as well, so. But yeah. Let's see here.
How big is the standard WordPress install, out of curiosity? Do you know, Taylor?
I have no idea. Why?
Oh, it's weird because for context, folks, we're doing server maintenance, and I was looking at some folders of some users. Some were like 64 meg, some were 100 meg, and like, that seems awful small for WordPress.
Yeah, not sure. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Indeed.
I think it's very interesting. But yeah, I've been on more video this week than I think I ever have.
But it's been fun. I mean, we've done a lot of cool streams.
Yeah, now that we can schedule them ahead of time, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, because we could get the link ahead of time and post it in different places.
Yep.
Oh, you figured that out?
We did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I did that today.
Yep.
Awesome.
Because if you notice in Zoom, it says custom live stream or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. So just put the stream URL, I put the stream key, and then I put the video link. And then I had to go to YouTube Studio, and I had to go live, and then I just tested the connection, and then I hit go live.
That's awesome.
Yep. Okay. Do we want to, let's see here. It's almost 2:05. Do we want to get started, Michael and Lauren?
Yeah, let's go ahead. We can add people as they come in.
Yep. I'm going to record this as well. So, just so we have many backups, right? It always doesn't.
Right, I did not do that last night, so YouTube
I didn't
was
either. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, me either. But YouTube was our backup.
Yeah. So, I think we're gonna get started. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our second Accessible Coders event, and I'm super excited. We've got an awesome topic today, and we've got some awesome people on Zoom and on YouTube. So, with me today, running the event, we have Michael Loeys.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. And we have Lauren Flinner.
Hello, everyone.
And in our Zoom audience, we have a few folks. We have Robbie. If you would like to unmute and introduce yourself.
Oh, hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome. It's been a pretty good day around here, getting a lot done and trying to do some server stuff. So
Robbie,
awesome that you could be here.
We're glad you're here. Can you tell if you want to introduce yourself? What do you do as far as programming, real quick?
So most of my programming for work is with SQL. I'm starting to learn Python on Codecademy, and I have some background with HTML, PHP, and CSS.
Okay.
Excellent. What got you interested in this chapter?
I've seen Taylor on Clubhouse quite a bit, and this came up in one of her Twitter, and that got me interested, and I decided to join.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
We're glad you're here.
Excited to have you. Yeah. Like I said, we all definitely are doing different things in programming, so super exciting that we've got a whole multitude of different people, and we've got an awesome Discord as well.
And I'm joined on the Discord as well.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Oh, awesome.
And I believe we have Michael's iPhone, if he's still here.
I think.
Oh, he just re-entered the waiting room.
Got him?
I'll get him. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Welcome, Michael's iPhone. If you want to introduce yourself and what brings you to the chapter meeting today.
I'm not sure we're able to hear you, Michael.
It might take him a while to get in.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to just stay muted, that's totally fine.
Yep.
We can, conversation is optional.
Yep,
So,
and so is video as well.
but still, and we want to welcome everybody that's on YouTube as well.
Yep.
You may hear sounds coming from my Mac because there's this little bug in the beta that's causing sounds not to come out of the right input and output. So
Awesome.
fun times.
Fun.
But welcome everybody to the chapter meeting today, and it's exciting that this is our second meeting, and we're I think we want to talk about some chapter business to start us off, right, Taylor? About a change.
Yeah, I think we do want to talk about some chapter business, just to kind of get things out of the way, and then we can kind of have more fun, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think Taylor and I talked about this, and Lauren, tell me if you agree. Our lives are exceptionally busy, and I think it would be neat for us to have these events every 2 weeks, but I think for a lot of us that's a little impractical as far as what's going on in life.
Yeah.
So I think for the time being, we may stick to the requirement by Codecademy that they request that we do an event per month. But that's not to say that we couldn't do more. So I think if we have the time, we could do more. But I think as a standard form of business, we will have one event per month. Is that so? You want to expand on that? What your thoughts are, Taylor?
Yeah. So again, and like I said, we'll have one main event per month. But again, if you're in the Discord, the chapter is still going to be active because we do have that Techopolis channel. We have Taylor's Tech Talks. We have all these other places, right, where we may be doing stuff. So just because we might not have only have one event, we're still going to be doing a lot of coding. So the community is still going to be very active. And I think that this will allow us to be able to expand and also to be able to produce better quality events and also to be able to incorporate our YouTube as well, because we've gotten a lot of people as well on Discord from YouTube, which has been awesome. So I think that would be a more striking balance as well. And, like I said, I love the Codecademy system, but, like I said, sometimes there are some accessibility issues that may prevent people from being able to access it as well. So I think having multiple mediums is a definite good and a plus.
So, Lauren, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's a lot more practical. And I think that, yeah, definitely we can still carry on the conversation on Discord.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Excellent. So that's how we're going to go forward. And if you guys have any questions, post them in the chat, or if you're in the Zoom room, we love feedback, so let us know. So our next meeting would be, and I guess we should figure that out. I feel all formal and everything, guys.
I know. We kind of have to be a little bit, right?
Well, we don't have to be, but it just is good sometimes. Right. But for next month, do we want to shoot for what weekend do we want to shoot for each month?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, what would work better for like I said, if you have a preference in the chat or any place, feel free to just, shoot it, what times work better for us. Obviously, it'll be a Saturday of some sort on one of the weekends of the month, but what time, or I guess not time, but what week of the month works? I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? My Saturdays are kind of standard. I kind of have a routine, right? But
yeah.
What weekend of the month works better for everybody?
I personally was thinking the second weekend of the month.
Okay.
Yeah.
That, and we're open for feedback, so please let us know.
So if anybody has any other weekends that they prefer, we want to hear it, right? Because it's not just what we think. We also want to talk with the community as well, right? Michael's iPhone agrees. Okay. Sorry, I feel bad for calling you Michael's iPhone. But that's what you're displaying in Zoom. So,
we're guessing you're Michael B. But
yes. But again, I don't want to guess wrong. So, that's just a little bit about chapter business, right? We kind of had to cover it, but Yeah. So I think the second weekend of the month is going to be good. And again, we're going to also pull the Discord. Oh, it's Babcock Mobile. Yeah, nice. We're going to ping the Discord as well. We're going to ping the Discord. Sorry, Michael. We're going to ping the Discord as well and just let them know what we're thinking. And we'll collect feedback. But for the time being, we're going to plan on events every second Saturday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 Central, 12 Mountain, and 11... Wait, I don't know, Pacific. Something of that matter. Time zones are fun, y'all. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're planning on. But again, we're gonna always be open for feedback from the community. So.
And we if you have any feedback, make sure to post it in the Accessible Coders channel on the Programming for Everyone Discord or on the chat of this YouTube video.
Yeah.
Additionally, there's ways to contact the whole chapter on Codecademy community. There's a way to email us directly, and it goes to all of the leaders.
Yep.
Yep, that too.
Oh, I got
Michael
time zones
says you got
correct.
time.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're planning on. And then yeah, so that'll be pretty awesome because like I said, but we'll definitely be in the community, right? We'll still have the Techopolis Live, which if you haven't seen, you should check that out as well on this channel, and you might just want to subscribe to all these channels as well. That way you know when we go live, and and the Discord as well, because we'll be pinging the Discord every time we go live as well.
So I'm sure everybody's kind of tired of official business and ready to go down to the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm tired of business. I've been dealing with it all morning, so let's move on.
Let's talk about the topic for today, and then if we have folks that have joined the not Discord, but those guys too. If you have joined the Zoom room and you want to unmute and ask questions after our topic, you can do so, or during our topic if we have good question and answer moments. We're going to talk about which ID is right for the right job.
Yep.
And all that can be summed up in 2 words.
2 words, huh?
Yep, 2 words.
Oh.
Yep. Can you guess what they are?
Visual Studio. Wait, that's 3.
Well, if you shorten it, it's 2.
Ah.
VS Code.
VS Code.
Yep.
In all seriousness, though, it is not as simple as that.
No, it's not.
I mean, now I will tell you that VS Code offers the ability to do pretty much anything that you want to do, but it is not it is the multi-tool, right? It is that multi-tool you keep in your pocket that can do almost anything, but not the specialized things that you need to do.
Yep.
Yep.
Unless that specialized thing is JavaScript, then I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
But, for example, if you're writing iOS apps, you really want to use Xcode.
Yeah.
If you're writing JavaScript, Java or Kotlin for Android, you want to use Android Studio.
Right. If you're doing more advanced desktop development, like you're doing Xamarin and things like that, maybe you're doing some advanced like Windows Forms. Again, Windows Forms is very ancient at this point. But if you're doing some advanced Windows stuff, you may need to upgrade yourself to Visual Studio. Because there is a difference, right? We should talk about that. A lot of people are very confused because they're like, well, Visual Studio is the same as Visual Studio Code. No, it's not. It is totally different, and there's definitely some points to be said about that. So, so do we want to talk about that, guys?
Yeah, so Visual Studio has been around for a very long time. And in fact, Visual Studio originally came out for DOS. Yes,
Oh, wow.
there was a text version of Visual Studio. And this version was had a graphical interface and you supported a mouse, but it did not. It was all text-based. Even the colors were done with ASCII characters.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, Lauren, go look up if you want to see it. Go type in Visual Studio for DOS on Google Images, and you will be shocked.
Oh my goodness.
And that applies for anybody in chat as well, or anybody in the room.
So yeah, and Visual Studio is a full-featured IDE that lets you create graphical applications.
Right.
Whether it be games or Windows applications, or even you can do all the same thing you could do in Visual Studio Code, but in Visual Studio.
Oh yeah.
The difference is Visual Studio Code is an Electron app and is much more modern. For example, there's smooth scrolling, whereas Visual Studio goes line by line or every 3 lines if you're scrolling. So also Visual Studio Code doesn't have near the power to work with graphical design as Visual Studio has had for a long time.
Yep. So if you're designing UI, yeah, Visual Studio might be the best tool. But I mean, you could still do it in VS Code. They do have some designers that you can install, right? Because you can extend your editor by using something called extensions, which will allow you to add other functionality to VS Code. But sometimes it just makes more sense, right? Sometimes you need all that functionality of the other IDE known as Visual Studio, even though it can sometimes run slow most of the time. But, you know, that's just how that works. But that's why, you know, we're kind of talking about this topic.
Right, and sometimes, you know, Visual Studio is, and the nice thing is they do now have a free version. Whenever I started with Visual Studio, you had to pay a couple $100.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've always had the student program as well, but still, nobody wasn't able to just get, or anybody wasn't able to just get that, rather. Right.
And now you can get the community edition, which
Right.
is free.
Mm-hmm. But they have Visual Studio Professional still, and all those features.
Ultimate Enterprise, I think, right?
Yep. So, but you know, the thing is that's nice is most of what you need to do can be done on the community version.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious. Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
I was just going to say, I think that there are some like publishing and licensing information that you have to kind of think about. But overall, for, you know, general coding purposes, I think Visual Studio Community is good.
So I'm curious, Robbie, you do SQL. Do you work with TSQL for SQL Server, or do you what SQL systems do you write for?
And I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about that, guys. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you loud and clear.
So we use PLSQL Developer or Oracle SQL.
Okay. Do you use a particular IDE to do that?
So the PLSQL is an IDE for SQL.
Mm-hmm.
And we also use Visual Studio Code for feature files.
Interesting. You know, one of the neat things is there's actually a whole IDE for Microsoft SQL, the T-SQL, which stands for Transact SQL. And they use a system called SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. And that on its own is an IDE, so I was kind of curious if that was what you guys used, but it sounds like PLSQL is a different tool altogether. I've heard the name, but I haven't used it.
Yeah, it's a different tool altogether. It's dictated to us for use because it's an enterprise application and it's for work.
Right. And it's just interesting, like even SQL has its own IDEs, folks, and that's, you know, very interesting. And you know, like PHP uses PHPMyAdmin and things like that, but those really aren't like IDE level things that you could do with like SQL Server Management Studio, or as I will call it from now on, SSMS, because SQL Server Management Studio is kind of a mouthful.
Yeah, it kind of is.
And I've played around with that a few times, and it's powerful. It can do some neat stuff as an IDE for writing SQL Server code.
Sure can. There's also, I think, SQL. Sorry, Michael. There's like SQL, I think, Workbench or whatever. I've heard of that. I don't know if that's even an IDE, but those are some things that some of my other coding friends used.
So, and one of the other things that's interesting is as IDEs is which ones are for the right job. So, uh, you could write Android apps in Eclipse. With Android Studio, I don't know why you'd want to, but and then some other considerations out there are which IDEs are a great tool, but maybe not for everyone. And we're going to, we always kind of put the spin of accessibility on this because we're accessible coders. It makes sense. And the one IDEs, a few of the IDEs I would stay away from if you're, working on a team with blind and low vision folks. And let's name some of these, Taylor, because
Okay.
I know you know some.
Well, I know some too. All right, where do we start? Well, there
Adam?
has been some recent changes as well with some of these, so we're gonna be careful because some of these are actually changing for the better,
Excellent.
which is good. So let's see, where do I begin? All right, let's just begin with Java stuff. So NetBeans, I would avoid that at all costs. Just please don't use it. It is really awful and inaccessible and should not be used. But it commonly is, especially in colleges. So that's one of them. Now let's talk about JetBrains IDEs for a minute. So JetBrains, if you're not familiar, they have these IDEs like PyCharm, WebStorm, IntelliJ, and a whole bunch of others.
Android Studio is technically
is it?
IntelliJ. Yep.
Historically, it's hasn't been that accessible, right? And I'm not sure if it really has gotten better. However, they have, according to some posts, again, I haven't been able to verify this myself, so that's why I'm just going to take this as a grain of salt. They have made it fully accessible where a user will not have to install this awesome, marvelous utility called the Java Access Bridge. Oh boy. That thing is a pain in the butt, and what it basically did is it tried to make the screen readers bridge the gap between the screen readers and the Java runtime and the JDK, like the GUI libraries, in a sense. That probably made no sense. But basically, it was a bridge to try to retrofit an inaccessible app to be accessible. And I don't know how it was on the Mac, so if you Mac users know, let me know. But it was definitely not a good thing at all. So they have made very significant strides to be more accessible for all, which is awesome. And again, according to what I've been able to read, you do not need that Java Access Bridge anymore for those products, which is awesome. So, that's great and a great win for the accessibility community. Let's see. Michael or Lauren, do you guys have any that you can think of off the top of your head?
I know at one time, Sublime Text.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Atom.
Atom and Sublime, totally inaccessible. Although they're kind of text editors, right? We should probably explain the difference between an IDE and a text
let's
editor.
be real. VS Code is technically a text editor.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a lot of these text editors have such developer tools that they can be used as IDEs.
Yeah, with extensions.
Right. And see, Visual Studio is an IDE. Xcode is an IDE, and Android Studio, PyCharm, and a lot of these are IDEs. But when you use extensions and all these other tools, a lot of times people use text editors as IDEs. Now, I consider a true text editor to be Notepad, or
Yeah.
or TextEdit, or Nano, or Vim.
Or Emacs.
Some of these others, and but people find ways to make any text editor into a fully powered IDE.
Yeah.
And so that's why the it's not a cut and dry thing there. Which ones are IDEs and which ones are not.
It isn't, right. Yeah. But it's always good to make that distinction. Sorry, guys. My neighbors are having fun locking and unlocking their cars. So,
Wow.
yeah. Anyways.
But these things are, it's the right tool for the right job. And the nice thing about VS Code is, even though it's not an IDE per se, it has extensions that make it more powerful than an IDE because you could do multiple things in one application.
Yep. That's definitely a true point. So it can come down to preference as well, right? But it also comes down to the language, because there are certain times where you do not want to use VS Code for things, or there's certain times you wouldn't want to use Xcode for certain things, right? You don't, so I guess we can kind of go into that, right? Just kind of the common languages, like do we want to...
And the interesting thing about it is, like, Xcode is such a multifaceted animal.
It is.
And technically, you can run Python in Xcode. You can do it.
You
But
can.
the question is, should you?
Or do you? Yeah. Because it's a pain to set up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. You have to set up a lot of environment stuff.
Yeah.
And I would run loads of Swift UI and Swift and Objective C programs in Xcode. Now, if I was building an app that incorporated Python as a library, I might consider building it all in Xcode. Because you can do things like that. But at the same time, I don't know that I would want to take that time to do that, and there has to be other libraries you can get. More likely, I would use React Native to include code like that.
Yep.
Which would be done in VS Code.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I want to kind of poll like the chat and everyone. First off, what IDEs do you guys use for your daily workflow? And I'm getting like Slack and other messages. Sorry guys, there's a lot of events going on this weekend, so I've been blown up with notifications. But either way, I want to kind of get your what you guys use on a daily basis. So if you're in Zoom, feel free to unmute, and if you're on YouTube, feel free to put in the chat what kind of IDEs do you guys use for your daily job, or what ones you guys have experience with, because we want to try to involve everybody, right? So you can either chat in both places, or if you're on Zoom, you may unmute. I guess, like I said, I'm going to just start. So I use VS Code as much as I possibly can because it's awesome. If I'm doing iOS development, obviously I'm not just going to use VS Code, right? We already talked about this. I will use Xcode. If I am doing something more, UI based and I need more controls, I will use regular Visual Studio, even though it will probably make my computer come to a crash. So those are some of the things that I try to use. I try not to have too many IDEs, right, if I can help it, right? I want to try to centralize it. But at the same time, right, there's a right tool for the right job. So Michael and Lauren, I guess you can start, or if any of the other guests in the chat or the Zoom would like to go next.
I'd like to hear what you prefer to use, Lauren.
So yeah, for Swift and other iOS coding, I use Xcode, HTML, CSS, all that kind of stuff. I typically use VS Code, but I also have experience using Android Studio and Visual Studio, and certain like IntelliJ and some of those, which are not great, by the way. But yeah, I have experience all around with different IDEs.
Okay. My first IDE was QBasic way back in the DOS days. I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I was just learning to program. And, I went on to program in a lot of other things, and now I build apps. And so I use, Xcode and things like that. But I also really like VS Code, especially learning React Native. That's been an amazing IDE. Although one thing I wish I could change is the stupid tooltips and how to get those out of the way sometimes, because, oh, man.
Oh, yeah, those can be difficult.
Annoying.
Yes. Especially when you're zooming in, when you're using magnification.
Right.
Yes. they're not really a problem for us per se, but using screen readers. But definitely for those folks with low vision, those can be a massive headache. Okay, so I'd like to hear from anybody in the Zoom room. If you'd like to chat or unmute, feel free. And if not, that's fine too as well. But we just want to try
to be inclusive.
Yeah, we want to be inclusive. Sorry, Michael, I couldn't get my words together here. I've been getting blown up with messages.
This is Robbie. I use VS Code for HTML. I'd like to use Notepad++. And I was going to try using Liclipse. It's Liclipse, but it didn't seem to be as accessible as I thought it was, or maybe I wasn't installing it properly. So I might use it.
Is that a variant of Eclipse?
Yes, it's Eclipse with all of the Python extensions pre-installed.
Interesting. You know, when I think of Eclipse, I think of the program called the GIMP, because it's so chaotic.
Yeah, Eclipse was definitely, I mean, that's how I started programming. I used Eclipse, and that was definitely not, what I would have chosen for my first IDE.
So, I started using technically when I took my first CS class, my whole class was using PyCharm, and at the time it wasn't accessible. So I ended up using VS Code. But still, obviously with accommodations, but the point still stands. Like, yeah, some of these IDEs can be a little bit crazy if you're learning, right?
Yeah, and the one thing that happens with a lot of IDEs, they can be intimidating. There's a lot to them. And so even that has to, I think, come down to which IDE is the best for the right job, because you can write Android apps in Eclipse still to this day. But should you? Especially if you're starting out. I always recommend people check out Android Studio, and now, really, if you're getting started with Android, React Native is really the way to go. I mean, there's no no comparison. I would rather write JavaScript than Java. Although, like we talked about last night on our last stream, I really think that the includes that you have to, the imports are very similar to how many you get with Java. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I will never, try to deal with or learn Java, I guess I should say, right? Because obviously Michael knows it, but it's like, yeah, if I can do that in JavaScript, I'd rather do that any day. Because that's honestly what I do a lot of these days.
Java can definitely be a beast.
I mean, it's good to know in case you need it, but at the same time, a lot of jobs for Java are very legacy these days, keeping up with legacy code. Now, that's going to pay pretty well because, if you need to keep up with legacy code, then, not as many people are going to be doing that, so.
Yep.
So, the other thing to consider is what are you trying to do? Like, what kind of project are you trying to build? And that will determine your IDE as well. Because technically, and I don't know if you, Taylor, or Lauren, or Robbie, or anybody in the chat knows this, you can technically use Visual Studio Code to build an iOS app with Swift.
You can. I did see an article about it yesterday.
You can, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What you have to use is the Xcode build tools, and they will build it. But, I mean, wait a minute. Actually, you know what? If there was an easy way to configure that would be pretty neat. Now that I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, let me find that article real quick, and then I will throw that in both chats again. we also, when we were doing this, we forgot to ping the YouTube chat. If anybody in the YouTube chat has any, like what IDEs you guys use while we're finding that article, because I did find an article about it yesterday completely by accident while I was trying to configure server stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and find that, and I will throw that in both places.
Now, this will not give you automatic, previews for Swift UI, but it will let you build your apps from the ground up using VS Code. And, I think that's kind of neat if you can just use one IDE, or even, really this is a text editor. Actually, you know what, Lauren, I would like you to touch on one thing that you didn't mention. You've done a lot of coding and different things on your iPad. Have you found any IDEs? Because there are a few on the iPad. Have you found any IDEs that you like there?
Not really that I particularly like. I know there are a couple of them out there, but I definitely find development on, like a laptop or, it's a little slim on the iPad, but it's out there.
Well, if you want to write Python on an iPad, there is Pythonista.
Yeah.
If you want to write JavaScript, there's a few of those editors. One is called Play.js, and it will allow you to write Vue.js code. I don't know if it will let you write React. And if you have a good JavaScript editor, check this out. You can do split screen on the iPad and run Expo Go. And
I didn't think about that.
And then you can technically write and run your JavaScript code all on an iPad. So there's some great ways that you can improve your development on a iOS device.
Yeah, and as far as there's a couple web HTML kind of editors that you can download. Sorry, stuff in the chat. There's a couple apps that you can basically pull up a side-by-side preview for HTML, and I'm sure CSS as well. That's kind of where I started out with coding on the iPad, is just kind of messing around with HTML. But yeah, all of those other apps are really great too.
All right, so folks, I just found an extension in the VS Code Marketplace, which is actually not what I was looking for, but it has basic Swift UI support.
Must play with this now.
So, but again, if we end up getting this to work, we might have to have a stream that says one IDE to rule them all. Who knows? I don't know.
Actually, yeah, we are.
Oh, we are? Oh,
yes, we are.
Wait, alrighty then. Well, I guess I just spoke and my mouth was big and then it just made us have a stream. Okay. Alright then. Well, I guess, this is what you get when you say things like this. So, let me see. Again, if anybody in the YouTube has anything to say, feel free to chat. We're monitoring those as well. But yeah, this has been an awesome event so far. But I'm going to find this other article here. I found a couple things. But basically, whoops. Okay. And then they also have snippets as well, Michael.
And you can blame Jason for the all the Lord of the Rings references that yeah, we were talking on Discord this morning, and so that's how that happened. All right, I think we've talked a bit about IDEs. Is there anything that also we want to talk about? I think that's been kind of a good topic, and there's not too much. I mean, there's back in the older days, we had IDEs for everything. You had to use a different IDE for different things. Visual Studio for Windows, Eclipse for other things, and there was back in the day, Borland had an IDE for everything. Borland C++, Borland Pascal. There was like Borland whatever, QBasic 4.5. All of these different IDEs to do very specific kind of development practices. And now, we have still a lot of IDEs. I mean, There's Komodo. There's a lot of other ones out there. And I don't know of the accessibility of that one, but I used to use their IDEs to write TCLTK code back in the day, and that was fun. But and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, what I think our next topic for our event needs to be is, what are the accessible graphical frameworks, GUI frameworks? Don't you think, Taylor? I think that'd be a good idea.
I agree. And we can even schedule that on Codecademy, and then it will show up, and we can schedule it on YouTube, right? Because the scheduling thing is powerful.
Yep. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah, because there are, not all of them are, not all of these graphical interface libraries are accessible on all platforms.
No,
so
not
I
at
think
all.
that needs to be a good discussion that we have. So
it does, and it's going to be multifaceted, right? Because there's not a lot of accessible ways to make GUIs out there, right?
especially using programming languages like Python.
Oh goodness gracious, that is just a fractured mess, if you ask me. Yeah. Again, it's also like using the right language for the right job, right? We kind of have the same deal, but again, we're not going to get into that at this point. But
right.
The point still stands that, it's definitely a good topic. And again, if you have ideas for topics, we want to hear them. Put them in the Discord. Put them in the chat. I want to hear your ideas, and we all do. And yeah, if you're on YouTube, comment, and we will see all those comments, and we can respond, and we can put together like a list of different event ideas, and that way we can kind of schedule them out. So let me know, or anybody. I keep saying me. Why? I don't know.
You're used to Taylor's Tech Talks.
I am used to Taylor's Tech Talks. That is true. Yes. And again, if you're not subscribed to that or the other channels, feel free. Did we make those featured on this channel, Michael?
I'm working on it.
Okay. If not, they're in the Discord. Taylor's Tech Talks has been going live a lot. We went live the other day talking about jetpacks. So I'm sure, you'll be able to find Taylor's Tech Talks somewhere. Or just go to taylorstechtalks.com as well. And you can link to the YouTube. And then also subscribe to this channel. And who knows how many other YouTube channels we have.
Yeah.
So.
And we're going to have other content on this channel as well. We'll have a lot of different coding and development and techie things, anything tech related. I foresee us doing even if somebody wanted to do photography, they can talk about that here. So this channel will be used for a lot of different things. So that's a little bit about this channel. But I think we're at that time. Taylor and Lauren, what do y'all think, to open the floor up for questions?
Yep. So open chat,
That's
y'all.
perfect.
So if you have any questions, feel free. And yeah, if you want to speak or write in chat, feel free to do that as well. We basically are going to open it up for anything, so it doesn't have to be about this topic.
Yep. Any code related questions?
Yep. I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, like I said, we'll see what chat.
I wanted to comment real quick that a lot of the Codecademy work that I've been doing, I've actually been copying the code out of the built-in code editor and putting it in VS Code, and that's worked really well, and then just copying it back out.
Yes.
So if you're having issues with the code editor, it can be a little finicky sometimes, so that's an option there for you.
Yep.
And one of the things, I finished the Bootstrap course on Codecademy, and that was an amazing course. I really recommend it because it not only teaches you the fundamentals of Bootstrap, but it teaches you how to look up documentation, how to actually go out and look for the things that you need.
Oh my god. Sorry guys, my family's like blowing up my phone. It's awful. Anyways, sorry. It broke my do not disturb. That's unfortunate. But yeah. I don't even know what I was saying. I'm sorry, guys.
We were talking about Codecademy and Bootstrap.
Yes, I haven't started that course specifically, but yeah. But I have. I'm 80% through the JavaScript course, which is very detailed, very in depth. It's awesome. It can be a little bit crazy at times, but it's definitely a awesome course, and you should definitely take it.
I think the next courses I'm going to take is going to be that. It's going to be Node.js and then React Native or React, whichever one they have.
Yeah. Again, this is another question. What courses are you guys taking on Codecademy right now? Or if you're not taking any, let me make this more broad. How are you guys learning to code right now? We want to hear, resources or how are you guys learning to code? Obviously, we're all using Codecademy, but is there anything else that anybody else is using? We'd like to hear it. So if you, what, Michael?
And Robbie, if you have anything to share, feel free to unmute and
Yep.
let us know your techniques.
The course I'm currently taking is the data science path in Codecademy.
Okay.
Has both Python and SQL in it.
Oh, wow. That involves a lot of math, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I have a bachelor's degree with math and physics, so it's not a problem for me.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, we're in a different league, as in we are so not there.
No. If you are watching this live stream after the fact, don't be afraid to still comment and share your resources and ask questions, because we'll go ahead and check it after.
Yeah,
Yep, we will
in
check.
the Discord as well.
Yeah, all the places.
Yep.
This is very interactive.
Yep, that's what we want.
And I think that the nice thing about Codecademy is they're always adding more. I would like to see them add a Bootstrap 5 course, because there are some differences, definite differences between 4 and 5. So I would love to see that, and then I would also love to see some native Windows app development instead of just mobile. I mean, I know mobile is the most popular right now, but building UWP apps would be really beneficial.
Has anyone noticed issues when taking quizzes to where screen reader focus is a little buggy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and again, if we have issues, I have access to the accessibility lead. So,
Okay.
I'm not sure, like I said, I really, eventually I'd like to invite them on. That would be awesome.
That would be really cool.
I agree.
And so I'm going to try to reach out. But either way, that might be in a few months. But the point still stands that they really want to make this more accessible. And so if you have problems, feel free to let us know. Either ping us on Discord or email the chapter, and we will pass it on to the accessibility team, because they are literally making changes from feedback that we've submitted.
Yeah,
so I just
awesome.
want to make that clear that they are really committed to accessibility, and that's why we did this in the first place, right? I don't want to be partnering up with a platform, that doesn't really care about accessibility. I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. So I want to partner with platforms that make sure everybody is included. And that's just a moral and ethical, standard that I have. And that we all have.
So I have a question that I'm going to pose to the group. And I don't know, Robbie, if you have any information on this. But what is the chapter's thought of regular SQL versus NoSQL databases? Which one is better, and or if they're about the same, why use one over the other? Because I've been seeing NoSQL coming up a lot, and even AWS offers a NoSQL platform. So I'm curious what the benefits and the drawbacks are to using that, and why they would pick that over SQL.
This is Robbie. I don't have any comments on that. My work dictates what we use, and we use Oracle SQL, so that's what I use.
Okay. I didn't know if you had heard about it or studied anything on it, or...
No.
So basically what I understand is at least some NoSQL application frameworks use JSON data to actually model data in the database. And so I think it would be interesting to learn the differences between those. And it would be interesting if you could start modeling, using NoSQL to model data instead of having to actually use SQL commands, because I think more people understand JavaScript notation. So JavaScript object notation. So that would what are you, Taylor and Lauren? What are y'all's thoughts on it?
Definitely an interesting question for sure.
I don't really quite have enough experience in this area, but it seems like an interesting idea.
Yep, and we don't have any chats at the moment for the. Yep, I'm just looking at that. So, yeah, it seems like an interesting idea.
Another question that I want to put out to the community at large is why, with the power of JavaScript, what does Python bring to the table that JavaScript can't do?
Oh, interesting.
So I think that would be an interesting topic to hear more about.
Yeah.
We should start putting these questions like in a pinned comment on YouTube.
Okay.
That way people can just glance at them and answer.
Okay.
Like questions from the event.
Yeah, like in a pinned comment on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not actually. Yeah, I have to figure out how to do that.
We can
'cause
do
I'm
it
not
after
logged-
the fact.
Right.
but
Yeah, I'm not logged into that account on the speech chat.
Mhm.
So.
That's okay.
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 Well, that's all the questions. So, Taylor and Lauren, do you guys have anything, y'all would like to ask the community? Because while we're leaders, folks, we're also learning ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and Robbie, feel free to step in if you have questions that you would like answered. That's why we're here, is to try to, solve problems, answer questions, and that kind of stuff.
I don't have anything at the moment, but I'm sure something will come up eventually. I can't talk today.
Yeah, I don't have anything either.
Again, you can put your questions in the chat and they can be addressed next meeting as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Or in the Discord as well.
Either way.
Yep. Wherever you can find us, post questions. We don't mind.
Yep.
Well, if we don't have anything, I think we will just make this an hour meeting, don't you think?
I think so, but it's been awesome.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm.
Well, excellent, folks. I think this has been great. I guess, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach out to us on the Codecademy community website, but you can get a hold of me at Mike Dowies at techallplus.online.
And me, you can get a hold of me at taylor@tayloraccess.com.
And you can find me at laurenflenner1@gmail.com.
All right, folks, and we'll put all those resources out there. And we have our Programming for Everyone Discord. You can join there, and we love to have you in. So that's awesome, folks. I think we had a great discussion, and this will be up on YouTube for all time. So
Yep.
it's pretty amazing. So thank you everybody for being here, and everybody that was in the chat on YouTube, and for all the people that watch in the times to come. So
All right. That sounds good, folks. Let me see here.